lovelies, and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about my top 5 romances of all time. These are all books that I have read throughout the entirety of my time of reading that I have absolutely loved. These are all books that I've rated either 4 or 5 stars, and I looked through all the romance books I've ever read, and these are definitely my top 5. Let's get into it. So these are in no specific order. I'm not gonna really rank them 5 through 1. These are just my top 5. I feel pretty equally about all of them, just that I love them, I would reread them, and they're phenomenal. This was the first romance book that I read this year in 2024. It released, I think, August of 2023. The reason I read it was I saw a bunch of videos that were like, oh, I can't eat cookies and cream ice cream because of this book. You know, like if you know, you know. So it was a bunch of like inside jokes, and I was like, I want to be in on those. So this is Butcher and Blackbird by Brynne Weaver, and she was just added to the Sinners and Stardust book convention that I'm going to. So I get to meet her in August of 2024, so this year. So I'm super excited. It is the first book in the Ruinous Love trilogy. The second one, Leather and Lark, comes out I believe in like June or July, so I'm so excited. Let me read you the back of this. So, every serial killer needs a friend, every game must have a winner. When a chance encounter sparks an unlikely bond between rival murderers Sloane and Rowan, they find something elusive. The friendship of two like-minded pitch-black souls who just happen to enjoy killing other serial killers. From small-town West Virginia to upscale California, and from downtown Boston to rural Texas, the two hunters collide in an annual game of blood and suffering, one that pits them against the most dangerous monsters in the country. But as their friendship develops into something more, the restless ghosts left in their wake are only a few steps behind, ready to claim more than just their newfound love. It's Rowan and Sloane. They are both serial killers that kill other serial killers. They have very dark pasts, which are revealed throughout the book. Please read the trigger warnings that are associated with this book. There are so many, and some of them are really gross. It is a very gory book. If you don't like gore, body horror, really descriptive, grotesque scenes, please don't read this because it is very graphic. But I loved this. I love anything dark and gross and cryptic. So this is probably one of my favorite romances of all time. So yeah, he finds her in a cage because right before she killed one of the serial killers that she was after, he locked her in a cage right before he died. So Rowan finds her and he quickly becomes obsessed with her. This is dual point of view as well, so we get both of their point of views. I love Rowan. He is an amazing book boyfriend. He just loves her from the start. And I think about, it's a slow burn. It's a slow burn, friends to lovers. Yeah, I don't think they really get together until the last like 25% of the book. And then it's just a lot of scenes of them together, if you know what I mean. It was very fast paced. I loved their banter. Their texting throughout this was amazing. I think I read this in 3 days, so that just goes to show that I literally sped read this. And so they enter a competition with one another because Rowan doesn't want to lose contact with Sloane. So he says, okay, well, we're gonna try and see who can kill a specific target serial killer and figure out who it is and then kill them. So his brother tracks down the serial killer. He tells them where to go, and they have to figure out who it is and then see who can get to them first. And they do this every year. But yeah, I highly recommend this book. It's so good. I can't wait to meet her in August and have her sign my book. And then Leather and Lark comes out, and that is about her best friend Lark and Rowan's brother. So excited. And the twist at the end was crazy. The ending was so good. It's definitely worth it. I gave this one 5 stars. So my first read of 2024 was 5 stars. So that was all. We're off to a great year so far. This next one I just finished and gave 5 stars. It's Pucking Around. It is my first hockey romance, my first sports romance ever, and oh my god, it was amazing. It is about Rachel. She is a daughter of a famous rock star, but she is also a physical therapist and medical doctor. She gets assigned to the Jacksonville Rays, which is a brand new hockey team in Florida, for a fellowship. And so she's all these guys, physical therapists. It is a wide shoes romance. So it is her, Caleb, Jake, and Omari. Her and Jake, if you read the prequel little novella, They had a one-night stand in Seattle, so they know each other. They already have a connection. Caleb is Jake's best friend, and then Ilmari is a really grumpy goalie, and he's from Finland. Jake is the sweetest golden retriever boy ever. He doesn't shut up. He's amazing. Caleb is a really grumpy, dark guy. They call him a vampiric surfer boy a lot, and they call him a cat. He's like a cat. And then Ilmari is a gigantic, sweet man, and he is very quiet and kept to himself, but then he winds up opening up to love them. And I love the family they create in this. The spice is spicing. It is one of the spiciest books I've ever read. And the ending was amazing. A lot of the parts almost had me in tears. So not only is it a spicy book, but it has actual substance to it and plot. I didn't want it to end. Currently going right into I think it's Pucking Ever After, which is the novella after this book. And I just pre-ordered Pucking Wild because they're not selling it in physical copy right now, and I really liked reading this physical and on Kindle. So this is on Kindle Unlimited, and so are the 2 novellas and the second book. The third one is not out yet, but I do highly recommend this. Like I said, there's actual substance to the book, so it's not all smut, no plot. And I really fell in love with the characters. There wasn't a lot that I didn't like about it, so I would definitely recommend picking this one up. I gave this one 5 stars on Goodreads, but I'd say it's like a 4.75, just because I didn't love how like immediate and weird like her relationship with Ilmari was. Like I didn't like how they started, like pre them being together, but I loved them together. So now this one is also why I choose, but this is going to stand as not just the first book, but the first and the second book. And I'm 80% of the way through the third book. So this is Broken Bonds by Jay Bree. It is the Bonds That Tie series. I love all these men with all my heart. The first one, so this one, Broken Bonds, is kind of a bully romance, but you kind of understand why they're doing what they're doing, and you wind up forgiving them because when they realize what she's been through, who she is, that she didn't actually just leave them for dust, then, you know, they wind up taking her in and loving her. But this is, you are like DNA genetically matched with different people, so you have your bonds. She's the central bond of 5 different guys. Her name is Oleander, which I love that name because it's based off of a flower. She has 5 different men that she's fated to be with, and they are Knox and North Draven, Griffin, Atlas, and Gabe. They're all really mean to her in the beginning, but they think that she just dropped and left them all. But you find out that she didn't, and you know why she's hiding, and all of these different things. I don't want to talk about it more in depth because it'll give a lot of the story away. But she goes to live with these guys, and she goes to Draven University, and she just slowly starts to fall in love with all of them, and we get to see what amazing guys they are, and they each have different individual powers. So Nox and North control shadows, but they have a little bit different spins on those. Gabe is a shifter. Griffin has like mind abilities, so you can like take away your pain and do different things like that. Atlas is like indestructible. He cannot be hurt. And then Oleander has special abilities that, again, I will not give away because it's a huge part of the story, and when you find out what she is, you're like, whoa, that's cool. And they have like these internal bonds that when you finally have sex with the person, you are considered bonded, and your bonds interconnect. So I like the second one better because the second one has way more action in it. Guys actually really care for her, and in each one of these books, she bonds with a different guy. So based on who's on the cover, so like this one is about her because she's on the cover, and then based on who's on the rest of the books, that's who she bonds with in that book. Yeah, like I said, I really like the second book. They understand why she left them at the end of the first one, so they all really love her, and they all come together as one big family. In the second one, there's a lot of action. I love her relationship with Sage, that's her best friend, and then you learn a lot about Sage and her bonds and all of that. So it is just an amazing paranormal romance series, but I do say that probably this one is my second favorite, and the second one's my first favorite. And like I said, 80% of the way through the third one, so I really love this series. And then moving on to more contemporary traditional romance, we have Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. You all know I love Ali Hazelwood. I have read her entire backlog of books. Up until Check and Mate and Bride, which I do plan on reading soon. Up until Bride, she solely wrote adult women in STEM romances, so every woman main character is in STEM, and a lot of the guys are too. I can read the back of the book for you, because I haven't read this one in a while, so. The many lives of theoretical physicist Elsie Hanaway have finally caught up with her. By day, she's an adjunct professor toiling away at grading labs and teaching thermodynamics in hopes of landing tenure. By other day, Elsie makes up for her non-existent paycheck by offering her services as a fake girlfriend, tapping into her expertly honed people-pleasing skills to embody whichever version of herself the client needs. Honestly, it's a pretty sweet gig, until her carefully constructed Elsie-verse comes crashing down, because Jack Smith, the annoyingly attractive and arrogant older brother of her favorite client, turns out to be the cold-hearted experimental physicist who ruined her mentor's career and undermined the reputation of theorists everywhere. And he's the same Jack Smith who rules over the physics department at MIT, standing right between Elsie and her dream job. Elsie's prepared for an all-out war of scholarly sabotage, but those long, penetrating looks, not having to be anything other than her true self when she's with him, will falling into an experimentalist's orbit finally tempt her to put her most guarded theories on love into practice. We follow Elsie. Like the synopsis stated, she is a theoretical physicist and she's having a hard time finding a job in academia, so she's a fake girlfriend on the side. She fake dates Jack's brother, and she goes to like all their family events, whatever. They all know her, love her, and then Jack finds himself attracted to her, and then he finds out that through her interview process that she is the theoretical physicist they're thinking of hiring, and he's an experimental physicist, and we all know, according to Big Bang Theory, that experimental and theoretical physicists are always butting heads. We see how, men and women rival in academia, especially in the STEM field. I really loved Elsie's love of cheese. And I love how broody Jack is and how he wanted to get rid of her people-pleasing problems that she always had, and he always wants her to be honest with him. And there was the third act breakup and a little bit of miscommunication, but I really did love this book. I really love anything by Ali Hazelwood, but this one was my favorite besides Love on the Brain. But this one beat that a little bit, just because I really liked the characters in this one more. Yeah, I highly recommend this one. I gave this one 5 stars, so go check it out. And my last and final romance in my top 5 is Happy Place by Emily Henry. So I have read both Happy Place and Book Lovers by Emily Henry, but Happy Place has a special place in my heart over Book Lovers. Even though I do love Charlie and Nora in Book Lovers, I just really love Harriet and Wynne in this one. Harriet and Wynne have been the perfect couple since they met in college. They go together like salt and pepper, honey and tea, lobster and rolls, except now, for reasons they're still not discussing, they don't. They broke up 5 months ago and still haven't told their best friends, which is how they find themselves sharing a bedroom at the main cottage that has their friend group's yearly getaway for the last decade. Their annual respite from the world, where for one vibrant, blissful week, they leave behind their daily lives, have copious amounts of cheese, wine, and seafood, and soak up the salty coastal air with the people who understand them most. Only this year, Harriet and Wynne are lying through their teeth, and while trying not to notice how desperately they still want to be with each other. Because the cottage is for sale, and this is the last week they'll all have together in this place, they can't stand to break their friends' hearts, and so they'll play their parts. Harriet will be the driven, surgical resident who never starts a fight, and Wynne will be the laid-back charmer who never lets the cracks show. It's a flawless plan if you look at it from a great distance and through a pair of sunscreen-smeared sunglasses. After years of being in love, how hard can it be to fake it for 1 week in front of those who know you best? So not only is this cover absolutely stunning, we follow 3 couples that have been friends since college. So Wynne and Harriet are one. So Cleo is with Kimmy, and then Sabrina is with Parth. So we follow those 3 couples, and we get dual timeline. So we get when they were young and in college, how they met, their friendship developing, and then how Wynne and Harriet fell in love, and up until the point where they broke up. And then we get now, where they're spending this last week in the cottage in Maine, and all the couples are hiding secrets from each other. There is a lot of tension. This book was so sad. It breaks your heart. It made me cry, but it also makes you so happy. You get to experience how the characters all fell in love and came to be, and then you get to see Harriet and Wynne kind of disintegrate and pull apart from each other, and it's just so heartbreaking because they want to be together but for some reason they're just not, and they can't figure it out, and you're just rooting for them the whole time to figure it out, and it's a little frustrating, but it's so worth it. You know, it hits a lot on growing as couples, growing as friends, how no matter how things change in life, you'll always have time for each other, and how just because things in life change and they'll never be the way they used to be doesn't mean they can't be something new and fun now. But yeah, this story is so heartbreaking but so good, and the imagery is beautiful, and it's overall it's just such an amazing book. I gave this 5 stars. I highly recommend this one. I think this is one of Emily Henry's best. I do still have to read Beach Read, and I started People We Meet on Vacation, but I didn't love that one. It wasn't hitting with me, but I will probably try to read it at some point. Those were my top 5 romances of all time. I'm sure it'll change year by year, book by book that I read, but as of right now, this moment, these are my top 5 favorite romances. Thank you for watching. If you're still watching this, please let me know what some of your favorite romances are, and if you'd like to see any specific recommendations of romance genres from me. I read it all. Again, thank you for watching and spending some time with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!